What is up guys, Deadset here. First of all, Merry Christmas. This video will be dedicated to my impressions of the Barbarian in the patch 2.12 PTR. Check it out. The Barbarian underwent significant changes in one of his major playstyles, understandably met with mixed feelings from the community. I think that while some of the changes are for the better, others have greatly diminished the personality of the set without addressing its major flaws. The dominant Barbarian set Raycore underwent significant changes in the 2.12 PTR, moving away from the taxi driver gameplay to a smoother, if a bit nauseating gameplay. There are two major issues still present in the gameplay, so let me address them one by one. I will begin with the one issue that is a bit harder to appreciate as such, and that is the Dreadnought rune of Furious Charge no longer pulling mobs to your destination. I generally like the new rune, giving you 2 charges to play with before triggering the cooldown. It effectively lowers the skill threshold to use Raycore to its full potential, and makes it easier for newcomers to enjoy the set. The issue arises for higher levels of play, however, especially in group scenarios in Greater Rifts. Removing the utility of the pull from Furious Charge nullifies the role of the Charge Barb, who was, to my knowledge, the only true hybrid of DPS and support in the 2.1 meta. Deprived of his scouting and puller role, the Raycore Barb is largely undesirable in 4-man parties, since he is left solely with his damage potential. And even if he does well in the numbers, it is a reality of Diablo 3's elite affixes that a ranged DPS is a safer option in the presence of strong crowd controllers like the Witch Doctor and the Crusader. Looking into the root of the problem, it is pretty obvious that the pull is only problematic because, along with the Vile Ward legendary property, they have no reasonable cap to limit them. This leaves too much ground for pylon fishing, favorable monster and layout abuse, etc. The issue does not lie with crowd control in the form of pulls. Developers have pointed out that Dreadnought is anti-synergistic with parties, but that is precisely the skill threshold for the player. It is perfectly possible to be useful to the party or to be a complete nuisance. It is all in the player's hands. An elegant fix I've seen suggested is to transfer the old Dreadnought property onto a legendary two-handed mighty weapon of the developer's choice. This could painlessly split Raycore into 2 playstyles, a utility-oriented one with the weapon in question and a DPS-oriented one with the current widespread setup. It might not be everyone's cup of tea to be a support, but it is better than outright losing your place in a 4-man party. The second issue is much more obvious and universally agreed upon: the single target damage, or lack thereof. Steps have been taken to alleviate the issue, but the conduit nerfs are placing a very painful spotlight on the Barbarian versus Rift Guardian situation. It is not uncommon to spend a third to half of your time in a Greater Rift chipping away at a Guardian's massive health pool and hoping for your Ancients to come off of cooldown sooner. Gaining all the runes of Frenzy through the seasonal belt only has potential on paper. Losing Pride of Cassius for your near-permanent Ignore Pain is simply not an option. Whether that Frenzy power should be incorporated in Raycore itself, or a set bonus related to buffing spender damage on charged targets, or it should come from another legendary altogether, one that preferably breaks the Furnace or SOJ staples, that is up to the developers. My biggest gripe is the flavorless choice of the Furnace as the build's weapon, and I'll be thrilled to have, for example, a retouched Immortal King be the second set you wear simultaneously, with the Ancients permanently at your side as a source of single target damage. The set remaining as it is on PTR, however, will turn Raycore Barbarian Greater Rift gameplay to a solitary exercise of power pylon and immunity necklace fishing, much like the Condemned Crusader. I spent a decent chunk of time on the older Leapquake build as well, trying to fit the new defensive legendary gems to the glassy all-in playstyle. I would say I had decent success with Esoteric Alteration, the new resistance-related legendary gem. As a side note, I ever so strongly hope that the new legendary gems will not be gated behind seasonal play. Unlike niche build seasonal legendaries, the legendary gem impact on older builds is too significant to be locked away for 5 months. As for Leapquake Barb, the improvement in survivability led to solid Greater Rift level 38 clears with the fire variation, and I must note that is with suboptimal gear, which is good. The damage unfortunately lags far behind the Furious Charge counterpart, which can be attributed to roughly 2 drawbacks. First off, lack of inherent crowd control to the strong damage runes and vice versa. If a suggestion to simply duplicate the Raycore all runes at the same time effect is a bit too generic, at least consider a free Chilling Earth rune on top to free the Ground Stomp slot and give the build a safer performance. It is that much more needed in a patch where a cheat death passive for Barbarians is still not a reality, even though they have among the most dangerous and in-your-face playstyles. As far as I'm concerned, Juggernaut is just sitting there in your passives, begging to become your cheat death. The second drawback, as any experienced Leapquake Barb knows, the downtime between leaps is especially dangerous, and when trying to push greater rifts, it will become your single biggest source of deaths. The change I outlined above, introducing inherent crowd control to Earthquake, will give you more options with a freshly freed up slot. On top of that, I would like to see a revamped Immortal King set to provide you with a permanent protection and source of single target damage from the Ancients. A change to that effect can be great benefit to both Weight of the Earth and Raycore Barbarians. For that to be a viable option, however, the Boulder Breaker two-hander has to be tweaked with more solid guaranteed rolls and potentially skill bonuses, because the competition it faces is the omnipotent Furnace. I greatly enjoyed the challenge of the suboptimal Leapquake playstyle, but I would much rather Blizzard come to a solid decision on where to take the build, as it is currently stuck between utility and DPS, excelling in neither. My overall feeling on the Barbarian in 2.12 is that much like his strength brother the Crusader, he'll move in the middle of the leaderboards. Unlike the Crusader, however, the Barbs struggle from a bigger identity crisis in group play, with undesirable all-in playstyle as DPS and questionable future in the utility department. And this concludes my impressions of the Barbarian in the current iteration of the 2.12 PTR. If you enjoyed my thoughts, I would appreciate your subscription to my channel. Talk to me on Twitter and Facebook that I link below. See me live at twitch.tv/TheDeadset. I leave you with a little more Greater Rift footage, and I'll see you guys next time.
Not ready yet. Still recharging. Need more time. Your flesh is weak. Still recharging. Need more time.
The Rift Guardian is here.